I've been playing golf with a set of irons all my life for the last 15 or so years playing this great game. And this usual thing was interrupted by a brand that sent me these clubs right here, the 11 Hybrid, starting from pitch and wedge, which is the one I've got in my hand here, working all the way up to the 3 Hybrid. And when I had my first hit with these, I could not believe how easy they felt to get distance, height, but most of all, consistency. So why not put these clubs to the test against my own to see if these hybrid clubs are the future of the game? And more importantly, should you be considering changing your irons to a set of hybrids to help you become a more consistent player? So to begin with, we're going to be testing the pitching wedges. My pitching wedge MP-18 Mizuno iron, comparing it to the 11 pitching wedge hybrid. We're going to hit 5 good shots. I'll count 5 good shots on my pitching wedge, and then we'll hit 5 good shots with the 11 hybrid and see the data. Okay, so just briefly having a look at the yardages then. As you can see, this line here on the screen now, the middle point is showing the middle of the fairway. So I have pushed a couple and hit a few to the left, but we are varying from around that sort of 126 mark all the way up to getting close up to the 140 mark. Pretty good for distance control as expected with my irons. Let's have a look at the pitching wedge hybrid. Bear in mind this pitching wedge is a 43 degrees, so a couple of degrees stronger than my Mizuno pitching wedge. I'm pretty sure it's around the 45, 46 mark, standard lofts, old-fashioned lofts. So I am expecting these to go ever so slightly further, just on the basis that they are ever so slightly stronger in loft. So taking a look at the results there then, so I'm going to ignore the one that I pulled a little bit to the left that's gone around the 150 mark, because the other 4 that I've hit are pretty close to around that 145 mark. So having a look at that dispersion there and comparing it to the pitching wedge, that's very, very interesting to take a look at there. And that could be just because, you know, I must admit I was quite stiff to begin with, just hitting those few shots, although I have hit a few shots to warm up with already. But the numbers don't lie, the results don't lie. Just from me hitting those 5 shots there with the 11 hybrid pitching wedge, they're going further, but they're also more accurate than my Mizuno MP-18 iron. Really impressed with that so far. More distance, more accuracy, what more could you want? But does this work for the other clubs? Let's jump into testing the 9 irons. So pretty consistent there. I've not hit one to the right with my own MP-18 9-iron here, and just taking a look at the results on the screen, we can see the dispersion on that one was a very similar width in comparison to the pitching wedge hybrid, and it's going a very similar distance to the pitching wedge hybrid, and that does make a lot of sense considering that these are a little bit weaker in lofts, sort of standard lofts. Before we dive into more detail, let's hit a few with the 9 hybrid. So this gets quite interesting here, because that 9 hybrid there, not only has it been able to give me more distance, but it's also given me a narrower dispersion, much more consistency with the golf shots, as you can see on the screen. The ones highlighted in the pink colour are the hybrid 9-iron, and the ones highlighted in blue are my 9-iron. So taking a look at those there, better dispersion, more distance again. Just comparing the two, having a look on the screen here as well, we can see the carry distances of all these. I want to ignore the totals for now. Carry distances, 155, 149, 150, 151, 155. So pretty consistent there from the 150 to 155 mark. When we have a look at what my 9-iron was showing, 143, 149, 146, 142 and 147. So Both of them are consistent in terms of their distances, but there is a narrower gap using the 11-9 hybrid compared to my 9-iron, which is very interesting for a club that's designed for more forgiveness and more distance. It's also giving me more accuracy with both my pitching wedge and also my 9-irons, with around 5 to 10 yards more in distance. But what I want to do is change this up a notch. I could continue throughout the whole set now and continue to say the same things. But what if I was to get someone else, a special guest on the channel, to test the next couple of clubs out to see what he thinks and comparing them against his own irons. But before I reveal who this is, if you are new to the channel, this is one of your first videos of mine, I'm Harry, a golf teach professional, posting videos to help you improve your golf game. So consider clicking that subscribe button if you are enjoying this video, as there's lots more content coming your way just like this one. So the special guest on the channel is going to be my dad, a 12 handicap golfer who's going to test for us the 8 and the 7 hybrids against his own P790 8 and 7 irons. Let's see what he thinks. Okay, so Dad, so we've got you down here today to test out the 8 and the 7 hybrids against your own P770s. You've not hit many shots in the last couple of weeks / months. You've just hit a few to warp there. You ready for the test?
I am.
Let's do it. Let's see. So 5 shots, 5 good shots with the P770 8 iron. Okay, so some good strikes there, pretty consistent hitting them to the left, so we'll take note of that when we have a look at the dispersion. Pretty consistent, one very close to your target that went a little bit shorter, so just past the 130 mark, and we've got 4 really close ones around favouring that 140 mark there. And we have a look at your total distances on the left-hand side of the screen, 136, 137, 130, 141 and 140. So if you take your third shot out there, pretty consistent numbers with your P770 8 iron. So we've got some data with your P770. We're going to hit another 5 good shots with this hybrid. This is the first shot you've ever hit with this club, so this will be interesting. What are your first impressions?
Looks okay.
Yeah, it sits well.
Looks quite nice. Yeah, it does sit well.
So when we take a look at the hybrid results then, the shortest one that you hit was your first one at 138.9 yards. And then from there, it's pretty much gradually got bigger and bigger, with your longest being 148.5 and another one being at 145, the shot that you just hit there. So when we take a look at the actual dispersion and the numbers shown on the screen here, pretty consistent, good dispersion with these 4 here. And there's one that went a little bit too far to the left, which was the first shot. One. So that could be simply because it's your first time hitting the club, not quite used to the look and feel of that club. And considering that that club shaft is designed for me, which is an extra stiff 80-gram shaft, whereas your iron shafts would be a lot lighter and only stiff, it's pretty impressive how you've been able to hit a few already just with that. So comparing the two then, we can clearly see there that the hybrid has gone that little bit further on average in comparison to your 8 iron, your P770 8 iron, and the dispersion is a little bit closer target as well. If we were to take that shot out, there's your 4 there, which are pretty consistent. So taking a look at, if we were just to take out, for example, that shot there, and I'm going to be fair on your irons as well, and take out whichever shot that one was there. So with your P770 iron, there is a narrower dispersion, but you are getting that little bit more distance and you are hitting them close to your target with the hybrid. So moving on to the 7 iron P770, let's see if we get similar results or they change a little bit. Okay, so we've got a little bit more of a range there. So with your shortest being 146, the first shot you hit, a couple in the 150s, one nearly at 150, and then one that you obviously hit very well and pulled quite far to the left. So taking a look at the dispersion on them,
Wow.
we can see there that the 3 most consistent shots have gone the furthest, but they have gone the most to the left. So when you've struck the ball well and closed the face down, that's just caused them to go a little bit too far to the left there. Which one was that one? I think that was one of your nearest shots. And then the rest have been a little bit more of a pull. So it is expected to see them go further the more we hit them to the left. So let's take a look now and see how that compares to the 11-7 iron hybrid. Okay then, so more consistent yardages with the 7 hybrid there in comparison to your actual 7 iron. With the 7 iron we noticed them going a bit further left but also further in distance, so causing a bigger gap between the good shot that you hit on target and the ones that were going to the left. But your shortest one here at 146, longest one at 155, and all the rest of them there are very close to that 150 mark for a 7 iron. And obviously we want to be hitting them further, but that's pretty consistent there for those 3 shots. Then taking a look at the circle, the dispersion on those shots, they are definitely much closer than your 7 iron. So when we have a look at the big white circle there, that is your 7 iron, and then at the smaller red circle is the dispersion of the 7 hybrid irons that you've just hit there. So obviously with your 7 iron you've been able to get more distance. That can be simply because when we close the face down, it encourages less loft, so you're going to hit them further. You did strike the ball with those really well. And then taking a look at the hybrids, the majority of them you struck really well. You mentioned that there was one that was a little bit ground first, but the dispersion between the red circle and the white circle is a lot narrower. So although you're hitting them a little bit to the left still of target, they're definitely a lot more consistent than the 7 irons that you hit earlier. And when we have a look here then at the overall dispersion, so when we have a look at the orange circle and compare that to the blue circle, your P770 was a bit more consistent, but went a little bit further left compared to the 8 hybrid. And then when we have a look at the dispersion on the 7s, you definitely had better dispersion with the 7 hybrid, and on average, they definitely went sort of a better, more reliable distance. So very interesting numbers there, very interesting stats. So what is your overall thoughts on that 7, well, the 7 and the 8 hybrids that you've tried against your own P770s?
I think I should go with these and persevere, considering I've struggled with hybrids over the past few years, as you know. And so I was quite pleased with the way that feels, the way it sits. Really, I should let go. I'm probably not good enough for a P770. I've got to really concentrate on hitting a decent shot with those, with the P770s. When they go, but they just feel like I'm going to play more consistent golf with them, and I've only just picked them up today.
You've only just picked them up today. The shafts aren't even right for you. They're nowhere near right for you, being extra stiff, you know, so that can play into account as well.
There's a strong argument to say, just go with the tech, go with what's more consistent. And yeah, considering I've only just picked these up, I like them a lot.
Well, that's very interesting to hear that, Dad. We've managed to convince you, well, not quite convince you, I've not told you to look into getting yourself a set of these, but already you've hit a few shots and you're convinced that they are more reliable for you. And for anyone out there at the moment that does struggle at the moment with their irons, trying to get them off the ground, struggle with getting that distance, the height, landing them softly on those greens, these hybrid irons could be the game changer for your golf game. So consider checking out the link below to their website if you'd like to see more information on those. So we had a look at me hitting the pitch and wedge, the 9 iron. We've seen my dad here today hit the 8 and the 7 iron. If you would like us both to be in a part 2 series where we test out the 6 all the way up to the 3 irons and comparing our irons against the 11 hybrids, comment down below. We need to see at least 20 comments and we'll get that video underway for you. Thanks for tuning into the video, and be sure to check out this one just down below if you're looking for more reviews on golf clubs.